Hello, and welcome to Replay Value. Darling in the Franxx episode 16 is not going to be the episode you think of a year from now when you're thinking back on your favorite moments from the show. Episode 15 will jump to mind, whatever episode the climax takes place in, maybe the pilot episode if you're a longtime fan of this channel, but episode 16 wouldn't even make the top 5. And yet episode 16 is probably the most important episode from a pacing perspective because of how it implements a soft reset on the story. It might seem hard for me to make that claim because obviously I don't know what's going to happen in the remaining 8 episodes, but it's fair to say that regardless of what winds up happening, those episodes will be better off because of episode 16 than they would be without it. Episode 15 was climactic, cataclysmic even, in how much destruction, death, achievement, and progress happened. It left us with a ton of questions, like what exactly are the Clactosaurs, what's the end goal for Papa, and what the hell are those hands? Instead of introducing new places, locations, characters, and plot details, or beginning to answer those questions, it's important to slow down and let the viewer acclimate to the completely changed world. That's not to say that episode 16 doesn't have plot or thematic value. This episode wouldn't be a good soft reset without those, but they're not overwhelming. The gray bits in Miku's hair aren't an explosive revelation that causes the entire cast to stop everything, it's a brief moment that's almost immediately forgotten about. Mitsuru's haircut isn't the defining scene of the episode, it's just symbolic for his character growth. Even the brief kiss isn't dwelled on. After a heartbeat of embarrassment, it's over. The headaches and mention of child fever blow by so quickly you could almost get whiplash. And the foreshadowing at the beginning and end of the episode are just that. Foreshadowing. It doesn't derail the core of the episode. So the core of the episode, the soft reset, gives us an opportunity to see how things have changed in a low-stakes environment. Episode 16 throws us back to Mistalin with our 10 parasites to establish what the new normal is. Since the last 3 episodes destroyed whatever sense of normalcy the viewer was able to create after the partner shuffle, no one is going to die here in Mistalin in this episode. It's pretty clear right from the onset that we're mainly here to see how things have changed. Squad 13 is now getting rations instead of their prepared meals, the water treatment system is down so they're forced to scavenge from the water sources. On a macro level, this signals a new normal even before we get into the specifics of the characters, just because the basic daily routine has been changed. It's a great way to clearly show that even though this is still the same group and same location, the aftermath of the previous battle has changed the individuals, even down to the small details. 02 and Hiro more or less have returned to their relationship as it was in episode 8, but 02 is much more active in her responsibilities towards the group as a whole, and wants to spend time with them as opposed to just Hiro. Ichigo is accepting of 02 now as opposed to simply tolerating her because of what she meant to Hiro, actually caring about how 02 is doing as well. Kokoro shows her feelings for Mitsuru, and Mitsuru has seemingly forgiven Hiro. Of course, all of the characters are extremely anxious about these changes to their lives, from how it'll affect their ability to live to how their current situation would seem to be the result of abandonment by the adults. Futoshi being unable to keep down food and Zorome's increasing worry are the catalysts to the heart-to-heart conversation towards the end of the episode. But in almost a meta moment, the statement, "all we've ever known is fighting," makes clear that this is a reset. After doing nothing but fighting over the last few episodes, minus the flashback, we're gaining some perspective about the people doing the fighting. We're reconnecting with the emotional elements of these characters, their relationships and their desires and their fears, so that we can go into the next set of episodes with a real feeling of who these characters are. That decision to refocus on the individuals and the new normal instead of continuing to ramp up the intensity makes their future battles all the more important. Whether they continue to achieve victories for Ape, turn against their orders, continue to live, or cause the fanbase to explode through death. And that's why this soft reset is really important, because it'll make the next climax feel even more important and grand than episode 15's. Thematically, I think this episode is my favorite in recent memory. I've spoken about the bird motif at great length in the past, and it seems I'm unable to escape it even here. So let's just be frank. Mistalin is basically a bird cage. The adults kept them there, controlling everything, from their food to their water to their partnerships and where they could go. It was a controlled environment, and any variables or independent decisions would seem to have been a result of Dr. Franxx's experiment. And the few times they were let out of the cage were either for fighting or for brief trips to the city, still being monitored the whole time. But at the end of episode 15, the birdcage was shattered, as we see at the start of this episode. The environment entirely controlled by the adults is gone. And that does have some negative consequences in the form of dirty water and gross rations, but it also has some positives in that the children are forced to think for themselves and wind up cooking and planning how to exist in this new environment. The children have begun to realize that they don't need the adults for everything. Zorame, who loved Papa more than anyone else, suddenly no longer feels the need to say grace and thanks before they eat the meal they made themselves. And before their big heart-to-heart where the takeaway is that they're more than just Franxx pilots and that it's okay if they've been discarded by the adults, we see a shot of a glass shard in the water, a reminder of how the birdcage has been broken, symbolically setting up this freedom of thought in the characters who up to this point have been almost cultish in their devotion to Papa and the other adults. And we know that they'll continue to depart this now broken birdcage both physically and mentally, because at the end of the episode we see a bird fly up towards the new opening in the hole, no longer bound there. Episode 16 might not be the episode you think of a year from now when you think of Darling in the Franxx, but it's definitely one that makes those incredible episodes that do come to mind as powerful as they are. Hope you enjoyed. My mini break is now over and I feel good about my chances at getting 10 videos out this month. Leave a comment with your thoughts, a like if you liked it, follow me on Twitter for my rants and ramblings, link in the description, and subscribe for more analysis pieces. I've got 9 more videos this month, so we'll be back real soon, but until then, thanks for watching.